And if you got another jack, now's a good time to put it underneath the transmission. There you go. Now we can start removing the bell housing bolts. That's 1, 2, 3. This is one holding the bracket. That's your starter bolt right up there. You want to remove the starter bolt first. Bolt out of the way. There is your starter bolt. Now the starter is loose. Push that back a little bit. And always remember the position of these bolts because they are different sizes. There's one. Remember, these bolts hold this bracket. There you go. There you go. Oh yeah. There it is. And this is the bracket I was talking about, guys. Now we're going to remove this 15mm bolt. There you go. Just move this out of the way. Alright guys, this is the last bolt that's holding this bracket. And after we remove this bracket, then we can gain access to the flywheel bolts. There you go. See how it just drops? This. Now we got one last bolt to the bell housing, and it's up here. So that's that bracket I was talking about. That's in the bottom. That was the last bolt. Then it drops down. But you remove this, and then you can gain access to your flywheel bolts. So look at that. Transmission and motor are split. Almost there, guys. Almost there. So in order to spin this, let's remove this cover and turn it from the crank. Now to gain access to the crank bolt, they have this little cover. There you go. Come on, baby. Let loose. Let loose. Go. Give it to me. There you go. Now we have access to the crank bolt, and we can spin that flywheel now. 19mm. Yep. And then that's how you spin the crank. See? So like that. So while we're breaking this loose, we're gonna hold the crank in place. This here. So I'm gonna hold this and then hold the crank in place. Then break it loose. There you go. There's one. There's another one. There you go. So now I'm putting you guys at a wider view. You can see what I'm doing. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna spin it until I have another bolt in place. There you go. I'm gonna put on my ratchet on the 18mm. Hold this in place and break it loose. There you go. And then spin the rest off. There you go. We're almost there, guys. Almost there. Last thing we got to do now is remove those motor mount bolts that's going down this way, or you can remove the whole bracket itself. It's optional. Whatever you guys want to do that makes it easy for you guys. Now I'm going to grab me a ladder so I can remove those bolts. There's one and two. Now we can start pulling the transmission back just enough so we can lower the trans. Let's start lowering here. And if your rear main seal is leaking, I think this is the perfect time to get it done. All you gotta do is remove all these bolts, remove this flywheel, and there's a seal behind here. Now we can start removing our clutch modulator. So this is a sealed clutch. This is not your, your average. You have your flywheel that needs to be resurfaced. Then you got your clutch disc and then the pressure plate in the back. This is a sealed clutch, so it's a modulator clutch. So remember those two bolts that you guys removed from the bottom of the bracket? So these two bolts can fit right here, so we can remove it. You don't have to do this. You can do it by hand, or you can just, I don't know, this is just extra help. Okay, now grab it like this, pull off like that. Okay. Okay, now we're gonna remove our throwout bearing. So remember, see those two tabs? I'll show you where that goes. There you go. There's the devil little fork. Now what we're gonna do is clean all this up. Alright guys, now we're gonna get our new modulator clutch. Look at that new baby right there. Yep. Move that out of the way. New throwout bearing. Make sure it spins freely, you don't hear any noise. Nice and smooth. Got your grease. I cleaned the bracket, and I just cleaned a little bit around the bell housing. This is mine, so I really am not tripping. I just cleaned it the best I can. But if it was a customer's, I would clean everything, make it clean for the customer. Let's put that on. Slide that in. There we go. Clip that. Let's grab some grease. Let's put a little bit on the splines. Just a little bit. Won't go crazy. A little bit of the shaft. Now reinstall the throwout bearing. Put it on the tabs. There you go. So once you put this on, this is gonna slide. That's gonna slide just like that. See the little pins? So it's gonna be just like this. Okay? It's in and out. Now that we put grease on the splines, grab the new modulator clutch and put it in. There you go. Ready to install the transmission. Let's turn that bitch over here. Okay. Now let's install the transmission. Make sure the dowel pins line up to the transmission, and then push it in. There you go. Now install both bell housing bolts, this side and the one across from it, and tighten those down. There you go. Now we're gonna raise the transmission and align these bolts to the motor mount. There you go. And then once we tighten this transmission mount, then we can remove the jack and transmission jack. Hand tighten all the torque converter bolts and then tighten them down.